Yeah, it could be overwhelming, but we said like, okay, let's start with just the first step.
We spent time in the building team, in prayer and just discussions, and we noticed that it starts shaping more in our hearts and our minds.
Yeah, we have to dig a foundation. We could rent a company, but maybe we can also do it ourselves.
And so that was also a shocker for me. Can we really do that? Can we really build it ourselves? And so, yeah, it slowly, gradually kind of developed, this whole process.
My son Nathanael, he was learning to be an operator on an excavator. He's doing a school for that. So I asked him, do you think you are able to dig a hole like this, like 600 cubic meters of sand? Like, yeah, I learned it at school, but then we need an excavator.
But in the community, because it was such a long process, most people in the community, honestly, I think, were thinking, well, it's not going to happen anymore.
I saw an excavator at the side of the road for sale. Like, that's interesting. So I took my son Nathanael with me the next day to check it out. He said, oh, yeah, I think it's a good machine. And his last week of the holiday, we started digging the foundation.
I noticed until we really start digging the ground, there was still kind of that unbelief of, will it really happen, you know? And I said to the team, then I said, hey, I can really use some volunteers, maybe for the building in the summer. At that time we didn't start yet. And then the person said, well, there's not gonna be a building. I said, yeah, there's gonna be a building. You know, the permits are there and we're gonna start building.
In a little bit more than a week, we dug out 600 cubic meters of sand. We are called as a family into missions. My son really got involved in missions in an area he was familiar with.
Probably my highlights of this project was, I think 3 weeks before we really started, there was quite a scary time for me, some sleepless nights. Like, we said yes, we're gonna go for it, but we don't know exactly how it will look like. René dug a hole with Nathanael, you know, the foundation, and we needed to make the foundation. I got a phone call out of nowhere, a director of a concrete company who was saying, hey, I heard of your project and I would like to just donate the concrete. And I was really blown away by that because it was so spot on in timing. I never met that man, he never been here on the property, and he loved to give the concrete. And so it happened, he donated the concrete. None of us never made a foundation this big. But we just took in some professionals, had some advisors, asking the right questions to people, and we figured out, hey, we can do this. I think just as the story of Noah, who probably never built a boat before, God asked him to build a boat. Was he qualified? Probably not, but he built it. And I think also for us, are we really qualified? Probably not, but we're still building it. And I think we're slowly figuring things out on the way.
Almost for every phase we need new faith again and money for provision. We work mostly with volunteers. In that area we also need more time than a normal construction company would. We
made the foundation, we put the floors up, and then we needed to do some brickwork. Then all of a sudden just a guy came who offered his whole service in making bricks, and he helped us how to do this well. Until today, I just sent him a text yesterday. He's involved in this process and praying for us and thinking along with us. Key things is praying together as a community for this birth of growth that God gave us, and also really sharing stories of God's faithfulness in this process.
No, I learned a lot. One of the biggest things I learned is to trust God, that He will provide in very different areas, not only financially, but also in the right people to help us out, and to trust that they will come also for the future.
My educational background really helped a lot in really, getting something started. But I also want to emphasize it's not my project is really a team work thing. This is not something that is just one of us is carrying it. This is something we really carry as a base. It's something that God spoke, which we have to really we have to walk in obedience to what God speaks. In YWAM in the last years is the three words, hear, obey, and don't quit. And finances God is providing, and the right people God is providing. So we had to put up the bricks, and then it's like 12,000 bricks. Well, it's kind of every brick was 10 kg or 12 kg. So you cannot do that by yourself. So you need a team for that. We saw mission builders coming in. We saw people from outside coming in to help, which was such a blessing. And I think until today we've seen many people help out in the building weeks that we've organized.
I can trust God in this area that He will provide.
Hear, obey, and don't quit. We want to hear from the Lord, but then if we hear, it's awesome if God speaks to us, but then our part is to really obey. And not only obey if it's nice or if it's comfortable or if we just have figured everything out. No, just plainly obey. If God speaks, we should obey. And then there is the part of not quitting. I think that's something that we really should also embrace, because even in a building process, there's those, it's not just a 1 week thing, it's not just a 2 week thing, it's a some years process. And God is, I think, also teaching us not just to stop and to quit.
I find it very remarkable that you are in a time of prayer in February 2007, and now you hear the hammers and the crane, and you lay bricks.
Dream about having a campus here on site where just people can come, be equipped, get trained for world missions in order to be sent out again. And I think this building is just a means in order to do that.